So the more that I did research into real estate, I saw a lot of well-established people say that it actually gets easier the larger you go. Yeah, I start off in single family homes. My mentality is of I'm someone who likes to do something once but hates to do anything twice. So I need to get down in the weeds to understand the nuances of how a specific business or whatever machine works. But I'm also hyper efficient and I love building processes and systems. So I want to be able to offload as much of the manual labor as possible. And so without any background in real estate, like I honestly barely understood how a house kept itself together. I didn't even have my own primary home at the time. So I figured I had to start, relatively small. But even the first real estate transaction I did, I bought six single family homes at the same time because there was just a good opportunity for me to kind of pick that up. And so only by going through the pain of hiring a property management company, going through all that effort, meeting with them weekly, meeting with the contractor on site, babysitting them, once a week for 3 or 4 months at a time. Did I feel like I'd be able to get the hands-on experience I needed to succeed in larger assets? And so start off in single-family homes, but with the full intention of scaling to multifamily eventually. I didn't realize I would get sick of single-family homes so quickly and move on to multifamily almost immediately afterwards. But yeah, that was sort of how my journey started, and I
Now,
always had a plan for bigger things.
okay, that's an interesting thing. Where does that come from? Because a lot of people spend years investing in single family houses until they, like me, until they finally scratch their head going, oh my gosh, something is wrong. I don't know what it is, but something is wrong. Now, and so you being a data guy, you got started with a single family house with the intent of doing something bigger in multifamily. Why? And why did you come to that conclusion early on? Did the data lead you there somehow, or why did you come to that conclusion?
Yeah, I think part of it is like I'm such a big proponent of systems that once you have the system into place, I feel like, everything else is kind of just a mental block. Like taking care of seven single family homes or 10 single family homes is about as complicated as taking care of one single family home. You just have to have, more scalability and time, or maybe you hire an assistant or something to deal with some of the admin stuff. And so I guess part of it's also impatience. I wanted to get to the level of having a few multifamily units. And I knew that buying one house at a time was just going to be, many, many years of hard work versus I could buy a 10 unit or a 15 unit in one given location and scale a lot more efficiently that way. I figured out even from owning a few single family homes, the property management company would charge me hourly for a maintenance guy, and even driving from one address to the other would charge me 15, 20 minutes of his, $40 an hour rate. And I realized that even little things like that add up. And similarly, the property management company that I could find that could handle 6 units versus the ones that I can find to handle, 30, 60, 80 units, the quality is also different. So the more that I did research into real estate, I saw a lot of well-established people say that it actually gets easier the larger you go. And so I kind of just I worked through the emotional hurdle of being scared of bigger numbers and just decided to kind of go for it, feeling confident in the systems that I built.
All right, well, let's talk about that for a second because let's talk about some of the emotions you had, right? So, I mean, biting off a six house portfolio is actually also pretty significant. I mean, a lot of people have trouble buying a single duplex or townhome. But what were you going through at the time when you were buying those houses, and then maybe even your first multifamily deal that you kind of felt you were struggling with, you were stuck with?
Oh yeah, I feel like I struggled with almost everything. I bought in the peak of COVID era, which was arguably the worst market to buy anything in the last decade. And you know, without any experience, it's really hard to project the obstacles that are ahead of you. So even like, last minute, the lender wanted me to freeze X amount of money so they'd be more comfortable. Having contractors that didn't work out, I'd have to fire them and try to, get new contractors to pick up the slack. Going over budget on projects because we opened up walls and found out a bunch of stuff that I didn't know before. And so I felt like it was an entire year of just running into obstacle after obstacle. But part of what got me through it was this idea that if I can find a modicum of success in the hardest market of the last decade, everything else moving forward should be easy. And so I set like a time frame for myself. I expected the first year to be incredibly difficult, which it was, but I assumed they would get easier, and I kind of use that as like the light at the end of my tunnel. And I mean, it actually that's kind of how it transformed my journey. Like as soon as I start getting a little bit of traction, start taking down, a little bit of multifamily, found my current business partner. I feel like the world opened up, and just traction is such a magical thing.
Yeah, I mean the first deals are always the hardest. And so when you transition to, you're a data guy. So are you more introverted or more extroverted?
Oh, heavily introverted.
All right.
Fortunately, my wife is very extroverted, so I'll bring her to real estate events if she can talk on my behalf.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I was gonna ask you about that. It's fun. It's funny, right? It's like, this is the problem. The introverted gals tend to be, a little bit more numbers oriented, very detail
uh,
oriented, but they have trouble talking to people.
yeah,
Meanwhile,
yeah.
the extroverts have trouble with numbers, right? And that's just why they've formed such great partnerships. And is your partner your wife or some other partner?
No, no, my wife is not involved in real estate at all.
Okay.
She's got her own startup. But yeah, my business partner is unrelated. Yeah, just
It's
someone I met
unrelated.
in real.
Now, is he like a complement? Is he more extrovert, or how did you guys? Why did you guys decide to work together?
I don't think he is more extroverted, but him and I are both types of people. Okay, I'll also take a step back and say like introverts get a bad rap for, being super quiet or
Right.
super like antisocial.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not, I love meeting new people. I love going to events. I just get tired really easily.
Yeah.
So him and I are very similar in that we can have a great conversation. It's just that I won't stay out at an event for 8 hours and feel exhilarated afterwards. So
Uh-huh. What
so
about
part
him?
of yes, same exact way. So
Uh-huh.
it's funny because sometimes we'll take shifts. So like he'll go to like a morning part of the same conference. I'll take it a little easy, and then we'll kind of move on, and I'll take the afternoon so that we can still talk to the same people because they most of our network know us as a group. So at least there's someone from our company there to shake hands and talk. But yeah, the it's yeah, we've managed to find ways to get
Nice.
around it.
And
Yeah.
how are you guys splitting up the roles in the partnership?
So I am much more of the technical back end. So I do the underwriting for us. I help with the systemization. Help, if our virtual assistant needs any help with, making SOPs, I'm kind of the one that takes the lead on that. I do all of the financial asset management where I have a large spreadsheet for all of the properties that we own, make sure that, our bank accounts have liquidity, and I do the construction rehab draws because I have all the numbers. And then my business partner is a boots on the ground. So he lives in Cincinnati, which is our target market. He's amazing at construction. Like he doesn't have a background in construction, but he just knows so much about it. So he manages the contractors. He meets with the brokers in person, kind of brings them up to coffee, and make sure that everything in person goes smoothly.
That's pretty cool. What about capital raising? Have you raised any capital, or how are you funding your deals?
Yes. So we've raised capital for our own deals, obviously. We did syndication last year that we are the lead sponsor on, that we raised all the capital for directly in-house. We've also done co-sponsor deals where we've raised, whatever amount of money for other teams and, help them with some processes or asset management. But we don't consider ourselves to be like core capital raisers as like a strength. We have a pretty good network of other capital raisers that hopefully we'll continue to tap into. And we see ourselves as building more of a brand. We're not necessarily looking to, try to raise for a specific deal, but we just like meeting people and going to events and getting our names out there.
That's cool. So who's involved in the capital raising? Is that you, or more your partner, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both, and it's a role that we share just because neither of us want to have that as being a primary role. And so even like coming on to podcasts like this is it's not to raise capital for anything specifically, but it's just yeah, so that people know my face and I can meet new people.
Yeah. So partnerships are so common in this business. What do you think makes this one work?
So before I met Jay, my current business partner, I tried to do the thing of like a ragtag group of random newbie investors trying to make LOIs together. And in hindsight, I'm very grateful that I did not actually end up closing on any deals with the bunch of like random people that I used to make offers with. And I met Jay very organically through a network of people that I kind of just stumbled upon just by asking people, hey, what other networks are you part of? Do you have any other people that would be cool to meet? And so after almost like a year of networking and just asking to meet people, get on casual Zoom calls, like no strings attached type of things, I met Jay. We got along really well. We kept in touch for maybe 2 to 3 months, just over weekly Zoom calls. And then I met him in person at one of the large real estate events. I flew over to Cincinnati for a week to just hang out with him in person. And over that week, we were able to grab dinners, grab lunches, take a look at properties, just like have a good time, tell jokes. And I feel like that only after I did all of that did I feel comfortable. Yeah, this is the guy that's going to be my business partner. Like not
But you
only
met
does
online, basically.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's
A
it's so
completely
it's
online
so
friend.
common. It's so common, especially through COVID, right? And what I love about that is that you met someone online on Zoom call or some online conference, and then you just stay in touch with that person. And
Yeah,
that's such a great way to meet so many people. I mean, yes, jumping in a plane is great, but you can do so much also online. I love how you did that.
yeah, I agree. And I feel like there's a lot of people think that there's some like, secret sauce to finding a partner, but it's just like, good old-fashioned networking. Just you got to try a few things out and yeah, see if you can connect with the right individual or group.